Not yet. Not yet.
Oh,
Probably 16th of this month.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me connect to console so that we can. So last week we were discussing about authentication and access, right? So today let's get a little deeper into that authentication and access. Okay. So in identity and access management, the first thing is that what we do is like we'll create an identity which is nothing but an user or group, and after that, when you log in that user with that user, initially you won't have any permissions to access anything. So that is nothing but that is called default deny. So let me open a notepad and explain that each and every point. So what do you mean by default deny? Default deny is nothing but whenever you try to um, access something, initially you won't have any permissions. Okay, so let's take an example here. So I'm going to create a user. Okay, the username is maybe test one. Okay, hope you guys able to see my screen, right? Prince, are you able to see my screen? Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay, let me create a sample user. Give me a second. So if you access to this specific user, right? And this is get login. So here you logged in as test one. Okay. So if you try to access this user, all right, if you try to access the resources in this by using this user, okay, it won't allow you initially. Let me go ahead and uh, try to create a bucket. Give me 1 second. So See, if you look at here, right, I am now accessing as a test one. So that's the reason I don't have an access to any of the users or whatever it is, right? Even if it is an S3 bucket, if I try to create an S3 bucket, 1, 2, 3, and try to create a bucket, it won't let me create a bucket. One second. See, if you look at here, fail to create a bucket, the create bucket permission is required in the sense that specific user doesn't have an access to any of the resources. It's just a user with the password. Okay. So in order to get an access, you need to provide, I mean, you need to add as an admin, I need to give an access to that specific user to access specific resources. So now let me log into my admin again. Okay. So now let's go to this is I am the okay, one second. Let me go back. If you look at here, right, this is my admin account, okay, or a root account. Okay, now let's go to IAM. So being an admin or a root, I need to assign access to this specific user. So let's go to users, and this is my user. So if you look at this user, okay, I don't have any permissions here, right? So now let's go here and add a permission. So how to add a permission is nothing but one second. You can you can directly write a policy here. So what is the permission, right? So I want to give an access to this specific user to access S3. Not only access S3, at least I want to give him all the privileges to this user. Okay. Prior to giving the access, first of all, let me go ahead and create an S3 bucket as an admin, and let's log into that account and see what I'm able to see it. Okay. So I'm going to create a bucket now. My bucket name is something like test bucket 23, whatever it is, the name it is. Okay. So I'm creating a bucket. So in the test bucket, I am just adding one sample file just for the testing purpose. Okay. So being an admin, this is my admin account. I have created an S3 bucket, and under that bucket, I have a file, right? Now let's go to my another account, which is nothing but test account. Let's go ahead and go to S3 and look at the buckets. I don't have any permissions here. So that's why I'm not able to see any of the buckets, right? Now let's go to admin again and being an admin, I have to give an access to a specific bucket to a specific user. So let's take an example. Here I have the username called test1. Here this user should have an access to as either one bucket or both the buckets that whatever we have in that uh, in that uh, in that S3. Okay. So now let me go ahead and select my service S3. For now, I can only give read access, for example, all read actions. I'm not giving any write actions for now. Okay. And do you want me see basically what are the buckets that I need to access? Okay, for now, if I say all the buckets, I can mention all, or if I say a specific bucket, if you know the bucket, if you remember the bucket name, you can mention the specific bucket. Okay, what is my bucket name? I don't remember. Okay, let's I'll do one thing. Let's tab it and see if tab will work. No, tab is not working. Okay. Let me copy this bucket name and go back to IAM. So as a test user, sorry, any question?
Oh no.
Okay. As a user test, so basically as an admin, I'm giving an access to test user to access the specific bucket. Okay. So maybe I can initially give only read-only access to him. Okay. All read actions. Now I can say a specific bucket, any bucket name. So this is my bucket name. Okay. Specify the multi-region access point request resource here. Okay, this is all not needed for now. If I say yes, next, right? So I'm just giving the policy name. So now I have a policy. Okay, if you look at the policy here, you can look at the policy, right? So this is the policy here. For the policy, these are all the read access I have given. Okay, to which one? To this specific bucket. Okay. Now if you go to here, this is my bucket policy. So now this is created. Now let's go to test user. If I refresh, sometimes I may need to log out and log in. That's fine. Okay, let me go back and look at this policy. Okay, so let me modify and S3 list. Okay, let's give the list access as well. Sorry, let's me go here, and here itself I will add sorry guys, It is going somewhere else. 1 second. Here itself, I can create inline policy. So I can add a list and read. Okay. And what happened? Maximum policy size. Okay, fine. Let me do one thing. Do one thing. Give the changes. Now, if we look at the policy contains the policy also added the list bucket. Now let's go back to next. See changes. It's done already. So for test user, we have added the policy. Log out and log in again. Now I need to log in with this user. Okay. So what is my root account? So list the buckets. So where do I need to list the buckets? Okay. Let's see. Refresh the page. I have already refreshed the page. Let's see if you look at here. List all my bucket actions. Okay. We'll do one thing. There is a size problem, it seems. Let me do one thing. So let me S3, I'll do one thing. I'll add it everything here. Add resource. Give 1 second. Yes. So what is the bucket name? First of all, I need to go back to S3 again. So if you look at this here, we are allowing a user to do all the stuff for a resource.
Rajesh, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please.
Actually, what you are explaining, everything admin will take up care of everything this, na? So, what is our role in that one? Means in for security aspect too.
So basically, security aspect is being a security engineer, you need to define what are the policies that each group and each user should have. See, let's say like being an 1 second. See, let's say like an application team comes into the picture and they will say you that, okay, we are going to leveraging or we are going to use this specific application. Then we'll say, what is your user? So based on your user group, you should have only access to these specific application resources, not more than that and less than that. And also for that application team also, there may be a developer, there may be an admin, there may be some other groups, right?
Okay. So actually, these are all that one is inbuilt is there for AWS or an Azure that one. So what is the need of then security external?
1 second. Can you repeat the question again?
So actually, these are all that one is inbuilt. Yeah.
Here I am explaining only inbuilt policies, right? Right? I don't know what is
Yes.
Ishwar. But But
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are the situations where we need to customize the rules. For if you take this as an example, for example, okay,
Okay.
this policy as an example, there are under a specific S3 service. Okay, there are a
Okay.
lot of actions. There are a lot of actions. Okay, so basically, being a security team, you need to decide a specific application team what kind of access that they need. Do they really need all this access, or do they need only a specific set of access out of all these 300 or 200 lists, right? Let's say, like, take an example of list buckets. So listing buckets may need
Okay.
by somebody, but it may not need by somebody else, right?
Yeah, understood. Okay.
So I mean, here I'm just giving you an example, but this is something that we need to we need to streamline as part of the requirement when we get that into the projects. Got it?
Okay, okay, Raju.
See, basically, cloud will give the elaborative access for each and every service, right? Being a security team, and as well as with the help of cloud team and security team, we need to decide what are the permissions. I mean, what are the specific access that a specific team needs. That needs to be decided by us and provide them. So you should have the least privilege access. You should not have the more access. So we have to follow the least privilege pattern over there. Based on that pattern, we need to give them, okay, in your organization, you should not use this access. So that auditing and reviewing will be done by us, and will streamline the common pattern to the organization, saying that, so being an application team, you should have only access to the specific resources. Here I'm only talking about S3, right, Ishwar? There may be thousands of services.
Yeah, that I understood that one is, but inbuilt is there now. What is the necessary of once again that one external? That's a question. Okay, I'm clear now. Okay.
It's not an inbuilt. We may need to do the customization a lot of the times. Somehow this is not loading. I don't know why. Give me 1 second. Let me check the policy. Okay, groups. I have already assigned the permissions, right? So we'll do one thing. Let me remove this policy once we create a new one. There is some issues. So maybe see, these are all the inbuilt access, inbuilt permissions, right? Let's say like S3 full access. Okay. Sorry. Is there a way that we can minimize this this Zoom one that is coming on top every time? Anybody have any idea? This Zoom tab is coming and it is not allowing me to make the changes somehow. I don't know why.
What you can do is select hide. Like, I
So-
cannot see it.
Yeah,
But
somehow I'm not seeing that option here. Hiding.
Click on escape.
Escape button.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not. That's fine. Let's see. And permissions. See, if you look at here, right, these are all managed privileges or permissions that provided by Amazon. But sometimes you can write your own custom rules and create a policy, then I will show you in the next minute. It will show you as a custom policy. 1 second. Policy is added. Where I am. Okay. Do I need to log into another user? Right. So see, being a test user, I'm able to see all these things, right? Let's say like if I okay, this is the test user. Here I can do whatever I want to. Let's say if I want to delete, I can delete this one. Okay. So I mean, this is a different story. We need to remove the content, but we have an option, right? Now let's somehow, if you want to customize this, whatever the rule that you got, for example, okay. 1 second. So this is the policy, right? So if you look at here, see, this is the statement. Okay. In the statement, the first one is effect and second one is action. And the next one is on which resource. So here star in the sense the all the resources we mentioned. Okay. Now let's limit this to a specific bucket. Okay. So for that, what we can do is like we can get the bucket ARN. So basically every ARN is in this pattern. Okay. So 1 second, somewhere we have the let's take an example of this one. This is the ARN of the bucket. Okay. So So I mentioned like this, okay. Fine. So I have two policies here. See, if you look at here, right, I updated the policy manually. So that's why this is called manual policy. I mean, custom policy. Whatever the policy that was created earlier, it is inbuilt of AWS policy. So that's the reason it was not, it was showing as an AWS managed. Okay. Now, if I am going to remove this policy and keep only this policy. Okay. So now if I go back to my another test account, and if I go to here, let me refresh. Is loading yet. Will take some time, but maybe let me log out and log in just for what's my ID. Yeah, let's go back to the policy. Still any mistake that we added. Give me 1 second, guys. So I'm adding the read-only access. 1 second. Now, I can see 2 buckets, but in this, as per the second policy, here what will happen? Here, as per this policy, I can do whatever I want on only bucket 2343, right? So if you see 2040, let me try to delete this bucket. See if I'm able to delete or not. I'm not able to delete, right? Or else if I go here, go to buckets and select this one. If I try to delete, wait 1 second. Let me copy the bucket name again. let me try to delete this bucket. See if what it will say. See, you don't have permission to delete this bucket. Okay, let's go ahead and try to delete this bucket and see what it will say. Basically, I should have a permission. Being a test user, I should have a permission to delete this one. At least it should work. Let's see. Okay, bucket is not empty. At least bucket is not empty in the sense I am able to make some deletions here. To confirm deletion, type permanently delete in the copy paste. For more information. Okay, okay, fine. Let me go ahead. I am a test user, right? So let me go ahead. Here, let me go to S3 bucket. Delete the content in the bucket. You may be a little confused while I am changing the tabs here and there. One is admin account, another one is a user account, just for your understanding, okay? Okay, let me go ahead. Give me fresh. See, being a test user, I am able to delete that bucket, but I am not able to delete this one, right? So if you look at here, I can't delete this bucket. Yes, right? So the reason for that is, right, because of the policy that I have created here. Let me show you the policy once again. Here there are two policies. One is S3 read-only access. So being a test user, first I should have an access to all my buckets to read or to look. So that's the reason I have selected or I have added this one. And after that, out of all the buckets that whatever I see, only have an admin privileges or excessive privileges to one bucket, not other buckets, right? So for that reason, I mentioned clearly saying that only give the exclusive permission to this specific bucket. So that's the reason I'm able to delete this specific bucket, but not the other one. All right. So that is the difference. So totally the main concept that we need to understand here is like first one is like default deny. So in the sense like whenever you create a new user and try to access any specific resource, it won't allow you, in the sense like that is nothing but the default deny. And the next one is like the explicit deny. Explicit deny in the sense whatever you mentioned as a resource, so only have an permission to that one but not to the others. That is nothing but an explicit deny. Okay. So whatever the policies that we have created so far, those policies created and attached to a users. So that's why this is called user policies. Okay. There is another policy called resource based policies. what do you mean by resource-based policies? So if you take an example of S3 or S3 or SQS, different other service, whatever the service it is. Okay, let's take S3 as a service. Instead of me creating a user and attaching the permission to specific user, why can't I have this kind of permissions to my resource itself instead of user? If I can create a policy to create a policy and attach the policy to the resource itself, that is called resource-based policy. Okay, I will show you the resource-based policy. 1 second. This is management. Not this one, permissions. See here, if you look at here, this is the policy. Okay. So here, this is an empty, right? So you can add, you can generate a policy and write whatever the rules that you want to. Okay. So here, what kind of policy is it? It's 1 second. Go back. Let me go back. Where is my bucket? So this is called bucket policy, right? So if you look at the bucket policy here, you can add a statement saying that so you can select all the actions, add resource, all resource, add resource. So save changes. What is the API? Principal cannot be empty. Where is the principal? Okay. One second, guys. Somehow. Let me remove this one once. All right, that is fine. One second, let me go back to another service text. I don't remember this one somehow. Simple queue service. That's fine. I'll show you that resource-based policy later. But the whole point is, for whatever we tested so far, those are like user-based policies in the sense like whenever you being an admin, you create a user, you can attach the policies. So instead of that, you can create similar kind of policies on a resource-based instead of a user-based. So that is about the policies. So whatever the examples that I have done, so there is a use case. I can give you an example. In a company, there are 2 EC2 instances running. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Two EC2 instances are running. And out of those two EC2 instances are running, for one instance, I need to give a start and stop access to specific user. User maybe we can call it as some Ishwar is the user, for example. So this is the requirement. So basically, one of the use cases, like maybe this is the kind of similar use cases will be there in a lot of organizations as well. So in this example, there are multiple EC2 instances are running, but however, to a specific user who is the admin to that specific application or whatever it is, he should have an access to start and stop that specific uh, virtual machine or EC2 instance. Okay, so for that example, similar like earlier, we will create an instance and we'll collect the idea of that instance and we'll create a rule out of it. So basically, the first and foremost thing, like let's create an EC2 instance. For now, let's proceed without a keypad. Nothing will happen. Launch an instance. Let me take another instance. So these are the two instances, right? So, uh, uh, so for an user called, okay, let me create an user now. So, okay, should have an access to only this. Okay, let me become. So I have these two instances being an Ishwar, I can see. But out of these two, I should only provide the full access or complete access to one specific user or one specific thing. So let's go back to user. Let's go back to users. Let's go to Ishwar. Maybe I can add a new permission, add a permission or inline permission, or else I can say like inline permission.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
So that means that our job as a security engineer is just to give permissions and policies, or is that what we do?
See, basically, I am giving you one aspect under identity and access management. So please don't come to a conclusion that it's only to provide. I mean, your job is only to provide the permissions and stuff, right? Our job is to build the patterns in the sense like what is the default pattern that everybody should have. I'm just giving you an examples, right? So today
Okay.
I'm just covering how to create an user, how to create a permission, how to create a policy, what kind of policies that are being assigned. Those I am giving as an examples, but
Right.
that is not limited to only giving the permissions. So probably
Mhm.
tomorrow or day after down the line, what kind of, I mean, let's say like you have various users accessing across the globe. There may be situations where you need to give a single sign-on access to the users instead of logging with username and password. So how
Right.
can we architect that? How can we design that? Those kind of things I will cover. These are kind of pretty basics. How a user and password, user creation and authentication and access will work, and what kind of various access policies that we can create. Those something that I'm just touching upon today.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Instance. Okay. Into specific machine that I want to this account, any region, and any instance. Instead of any instance, let me take this as an example, this one. So what are the policies that we have created? It's a custom inline policy. If you look at the policy code, Visual Studio code, or the policies, see if you look at here, this is the statement. Here, what I said is like allow actions, starting the instance and stopping the instance on this specific AWS EC2 resource. So who is the user? Ishwar is the user, right? So now let's go ahead and try to see. Basically, for this one, we have given the access to start and stop, not this one. So let's try to stop this second one just for the testing purpose. Okay, let me select this one. So we haven't given any access to this one. I mean, in the sense like any stop or start. So okay, let's stop the instance. Okay, I should not see fail to stop instance, authorization failure. Okay, now let's go ahead and see whether this one will, what is the state? See, it is successfully stopped, right? Yeah, makes sense. Hello guys, can you hear me? Yeah, so this is how the various
Yeah.
various policies we can customize and tweak based on our business requirement. So whenever you have a discussion with your cloud teams or application teams on these aspects, we have to be familiar with these kind of things, right? So you should ask that, okay, what is your requirement, what you want, and what is the best practice. Those kind of things we need to touch upon. All right then. So this is it for today. So tomorrow I'll cover a little deeper. So whatever I covered so far